who's become incredibly well known around the world because of the coronavirus has died. This is the Chinese doctor who tried to warn the medical community about the coronavirus. He was told to be quiet by the authorities before weeks later being diagnosed with the virus himself. Here we can see BBC Chinese reporting on this, saying Dr. Li was declared dead initially at 9:30 local time on February the 6th, and that was reported by state media, but it got more complicated. Initially, there was a huge reaction on Chinese social media to this news, and then journalists and doctors at the scene who did not want their names used told the BBC that government officials then decided to control the flow of information by ordering the doctor to be put back on life support despite the fact he was dead, and to change official media reports from death to in critical condition. Well, that attempt to shut down the story has failed, and official Chinese media is now reporting the death of Dr. Li. And the background to this is that Dr. Li posted a warning on a group chat of medics in December. He said he'd seen 7 cases that he thought resembled the SARS virus that led to a global epidemic in 2003. Chinese police then accused him of making false statements, of severely disturbing the social order. He was then forced to sign a document in which the authorities said, "We solemnly warn you, if you keep being stubborn with such impertinence and continue this illegal activity, you will be brought to justice. Is that understood?" And underneath that, Dr. Li had written, "Yes, I do." Even in January, officials in Wuhan, where the virus began, was insisting that only those who came in contact with infected animals could catch the virus. That wasn't true, and no accurate guidance was issued to protect doctors who'd been in contact with infected people. Then we were told Dr. Li had fallen ill, and finally on the 20th of January, China did declare an emergency connected to the virus. Go on to the end of January, and Dr. Li posted this picture with the words, "Finally diagnosed." He confirmed he had the virus. Well, the pictures of Dr. Li in his hospital bed are going to become among the defining images of this crisis, despite China's efforts to manage this story. Isabel Hilton is from China Dialogue.
This is what China does. China increasingly seeking to control what people know. And that was the problem in the beginning. You know, if Dr. Li had been listened to in the beginning, if the authorities had acted in the beginning, we wouldn't have seen this virus escape from Wuhan all over China and then internationally. And now, you know, however draconian the measures taken, you know, this is essentially shutting the stable doors. So people like Dr. Li, who were sanctioned, I mean, having been interviewed by the police, they had to confess to spreading rumors, which can carry a 5-year sentence in China.
In a matter of days, Dr. Li Wenliang went from treating patients to becoming one. The 34-year-old ophthalmologist diagnosed Saturday with the Wuhan coronavirus. But if action had been taken when he and others started sounding alarms, the severity of the outbreak might have been understood sooner. Struggling to communicate, Li spoke with CNN briefly by phone. You can hear the hospital machines pulsing in the background. It was back in late December when Li first warned friends on WeChat about a SARS-like disease going around. Li sent a group message saying that a test result from a patient quarantined at the hospital where he worked showed a patient had a coronavirus. But hours after hitting send, Wuhan city health officials tracked Li down, questioning where he got the information. Within days, they closed the suspected source of the virus, this seafood market, and they announced the outbreak. But instead of being praised, Li got a call from Wuhan City Police. With Li coughing too much and breathing too poorly to speak by phone, we asked Li by text, "How did you feel when this happened?" "I felt a little afraid I would be detained, afraid my family would worry," Li responded. He agreed to sign this document, admitting to spreading rumors online and severely disrupting social order. It reads, "We want you to cooperate with the police and listen to our reminder and stop the illegal act. Can you do that?" Li answered, "Yes, I can." In the weeks that followed, the Wuhan Municipal Health Commission maintained that there was no obvious evidence for human-to-human transmission, no infection of healthcare workers, and that the outbreak was, in their words, preventable and controllable. And with that, the people of Wuhan continued about their normal lives. Then came a sudden jump in infections. China's central government took over, scrambling to contain a spreading virus with a rising death toll. Chinese state media first reported that Li was one of several whistleblowers silenced by police. Calls for Li and the others to be vindicated grew online. China's Supreme Court even weighed in, adding, quote, "It might have been a fortunate thing if the public had listened to this rumor at the time." But for many, including Li and his parents, it was too late. They all contracted the coronavirus. Li is now fighting for his life, alone in quarantine, but online, considered a hero. Tens of thousands praising his attempts to sound the alarm ahead of what's become a global health emergency.
After the Chinese Supreme Court made those comments in support of Li and the other whistleblowers, we did hear from Wuhan police. They released a statement essentially saying, look, the whistleblowers weren't fined and they weren't detained. They were simply questioned and let go. Now, we did also reach out, CNN did, to Wuhan police as well as the local health commission.